This video is made possible by the following mad lads. All their awesome gear they supply to me can be checked out in the description below. Hey guys, ridiculous amounts of Boost Boy here, and welcome back to Assetto Corsa for another video. And today's video is hopefully going to be firstly an interesting one for you, and most likely a very difficult one for me. And that's because today marks the occasion where I finally take the monstrous Porsche 91730, otherwise known as the Turbo Panzer, around the Nordschleife. So what makes this thing so crazy? Well, first of all, this is a Can-Am car, and Can-Am cars were always insane. I really very much recommend looking up Can-Am if you aren't familiar with the series. And this particular example of a Can-Am car is powered by a turbocharged flat 12. And when I say turbocharged, I mean turbocharged. This thing was boosted at about 2.7 bar, or around 39 psi, meaning at peak power output, the real-life car was nearly touching 1600 brake horsepower. And this is in the car from the 70s, with old 70s tyres, old 70s brakes, and the fuel tank essentially being your passenger. So if you crash, you died very quickly. The car also only weighed 820 kilograms, meaning that according to Wikipedia anyway, the power to weight ratio was nearly 2000 horsepower per tonne. Now, of course, these are all insane numbers, which basically means this car is an absolute pig to drive on the limit, because either you're suffering from massive understeer because of the quite basic downforce on this car, or hilarious power oversteer where you spin off into the planes of non-existence. Now, the Assetto Corsa version of this car has a little bit less power. I think it's pegged at around 1200 brake horsepower, which is still more than enough to keep me busy, but I think it's time to see how fast one of the most powerful racing cars ever made can lap the Nordschleife. Well then, here we are inside the Turbo Panzer for what is probably going to be one of the most difficult laps I have ever driven here at the Nordschleife. As you can probably guess, I have turned the boost up all the way in this car, so we're producing about 1200 brake horsepower at the moment to the rear wheels in a car from the 1970s. Perfect. I did also have to increase the gearing because this car was originally geared to hit 360 kilometers an hour in top gear going down the straight, and I was hitting the rev limiter in fourth. That's how fast this thing is, so I've had to extend that a little bit. But anyway, deep breath and let's go. First gear engaged. Now I'm going to show you the power of this thing, alright? I'm going to just point it in a straight line. We're in first gear, put my foot down. This is what happens. It's going to be a good lap. Anyway, let's get going then. The Porsche 91730 Can-Am car, the car that killed Can-Am, in fact, against the Nordschleife. As I hit the barrier for good measure, but away we go then on our flying lap. And I've got a brake almost instantly coming down to T1, got it nice and tight inside. This car understeers a lot, so we're driving around that, and of course the massive power oversteer this thing comes with. Through hats and back, easy, car ploughing there in third gear, just trying to look at the power without crashing, but it's very difficult to do in this thing now. Very easy through here. We'll just watch that speedo. You can see as soon as I even look at the power, it just jumps up by about 20 or 30 Ks instantly. This thing is the fastest car in a straight line that I've probably ever driven around here, with exception of the Red Bull X 2010, which is fictional. This is not. This actually was racing. Here we go. Our first taste of 1200 horsepower. Dude, oh my word. Nearly 200 mile an hour at the food pads. The front end actually coming off the ground. Big understeer through there. Back on the power. Have to wait till we get this thing in a straight line. Now we're first time up from fourth gear, top gear. Watch that speedo just climbing relentlessly. The car not turning, the front wheels off the ground almost. The front wheels in this thing pretty much just there to make this a car. All the power goes through the rear, that's where all the grip is. And then we slow it back down again before heading down into the forest sideways off the exit there. Up through the gears, third gear, try and get in a straight line. You see the car just ploughing there. That's the power lifting the front wheels off the ground slightly. Through the compression. Down the second gear, over the rumble strip on the inside there, and slow it right down. And then we have to struggle a little bit through these slow sections. The car does not like this at all. I did stiffen the rear roll bar to try and get the car to rotate a bit, try and get it to slide out a bit. It didn't really work. But anyway, hello Rebel Tree. We're going past you at a million bazillion mile an hour. Just trying to make sure. You see how unstable the car is when you get on the braking. It basically doesn't like doing anything apart from going fast in a straight line, which is a car that I can definitely get behind. Second gear through here, wait for the boost to build. Trying not to have it build in a bad place. Now, you see how much understeer I'm having to deal with here. It's just me versus the car around here. The track is almost easy compared to this. Already getting out of breath. Miss, hit, miss. Probably going to just miss all of it because the car doesn't want to turn. Back on the power. I dare not go for third gear. Come on, turn, turn, turn. You can see the front wheels, or hear the front wheels just ploughing. Not much I can really do there. I have to be so patient before actually getting on the power properly. Such a large amount of turbo lag, or boost threshold, whatever you want to call it, that anticipating the power is quite difficult unless you're in first gear. Then it's just hit the power and you go, just like this. Rear tyre spinning at 140 mile an hour. Through the kink, dab of the brakes to turn the car in, and again back on the brakes heavy and down the first gear. Whew, this thing is an absolute workout. Would recommend if you're trying to lose a little bit of weight. And now we go uphill. Now this is usually flat in a downforce car. It's not here because the front wheels do not grip if you're hitting the power fully. It lifts the front wheels off the ground. There you go. Up into fourth gear. It's just climbing 20 mile an hour past, just like that. So difficult through here. Gonna try second gear. Third gear does sometimes work, but again, wheel spin at 140 mile an hour. What a car! Can you imagine driving this thing in real life? I can't. I would have shat myself about 5 times by now, trying to slow the thing down for this long right-hander. It's so hard to be progressive because the boost just kicks. It kicks you in the back of the head. Even in VR, you can kind of feel it. Oh, the carousel's very slow through here because it's very difficult to put any power down. The car just loops. The car is so fast. But just in one area. It's kind of terrible everywhere else. It's just made to be dominant in a straight line. That's how it feels. With 100% boost, it's almost undrivable. This thing's a lot more tame on the 70% boost at about 900 horsepower. Which sounds ludicrous to say, but when you've got the full 1200 underneath your right foot, it's like a ticking time bomb. Watch here now. Just a small squirt down there, and you're getting about 40 mile an hour. It's insane. Just keeping it in second for you. I can't go much faster than this. You can hear the boost just build every now and then, and when it starts whistling, you know you've got to hold on for dear life. Second gear for a YouTube call, and I'm just missing every apex. The car is really not happy at all. Hit the boost for a second, then back down to the brakes. We're going to first through here, actually. How difficult we're going over a rise here, so the car's going to get very unhappy if I'm flooring it too much. Third gear. The car is just wanting to have its legs stretched, but you just can't through this section. It's all about waiting and being patient. This car is not about patience, it's about brutal power. Down the hill. Oh, watch out for the curb. See how soft I'm being on the power through here. I'm waiting for the front tyres to hook. And you were just seeing, that's a perfect illustration of how this car handles. The front is just bouncing around at the front obviously, while the rear is planting the car to the floor. I'm a second carousel now. Oh, I'm tired. First gear through here. I have to really slow it down. But guys, guess what's coming up? It's the Dot and Jehovah, which means we get to really show you what 1200 horsepower in a Can-Am car looks like. Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Now the throttle, now watch that speedo. Up into top gear, fourth gear, there's 200 mile an hour, it's already gone. 350 Ks, 360 Ks, 370 as we start getting to the top of the gearing. 377. It's probably going to have to be a lift coming through this fast left-hander. Yeah, and back on the power again. Start braking really early in this thing. You're going so quick. Second gear. And finally down the first, just about get it stopped. This is going to be I don't know what time this is going to be at all. I've got no idea. Through the last corner. Now the power. And the time is a 6:25.756. And I can tell you right now, that is the most difficult lap I have ever done around this circuit. It was far from perfect, and I applaud those who can drive the car around in this state and drive it well, because that was just me trying not to crash for 6.5 minutes. But my word, what a ride. And I'm glad I could finally do this car. This car has been requested pretty much since I started this series, so good to finally get around to it and show just how brutal these old Can-Am cars were. Again, I can't express the amount of respect I have for the guys that drove these things in real life. They must have balls the size of the fucking fuel tanks in this thing. Anyway, guys, I really hope you enjoyed that video. That was so fun to drive and so fun to make. If you did enjoy the video, then of course make sure to hit that like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and the bell notification icon. That way you'll be made notified of future streams and future videos like this. I recently got the join button on my channel, which is a bit like a Twitch subscription, so if you want to support the channel that way, you can. And as always, I've got to say a massive thank you to my patrons and sponsors. You guys keep the channel running and keep me doing silly stuff like this, so massive thanks. Take care, have an awesome day. I'm off for a shower. See you next time.